Hello and welcome to the show, the Let's Talk show. Never said that before. I don't know why I did now, but welcome. Today we're talking about a topic that really touches the heart for me, because this is like my childhood. This is what I grew up with. And this is not like in any way a video trying to bash today's culture of gaming. That's not what this is at all. This is a video about what video games meant in the late 80s, early 90s. And I'm going to be coming out with a part 2 to this called why new games are better than old school games. Not sure how I'm gonna word it just yet, but I'll think about it. But you're on this video, so this is what matters. So for me, the reason why old school games are better than the newer games is because nowadays games are so babied out for the gamer. You know, you start up the game and what are your first options that you're presented with? Oh, easy mode, medium, hard, or something along those lines. But back then, when you had games like Mario and Mega Man and Metroid, when you had these games, you started it up and there was no easy mode, medium mode, or hard mode. It was just, you played the game, it presented you with a few tasks, simple tasks, and you basically trial and error. The first thing I always do now, because I grew up doing this, was pressing all the buttons, see what they did. So back then it was like they started you on the screen, there was nothing there, so that basically gave you time to, hey, how do I jump? Can I shoot? You had that time to figure those things out. And then you walk a couple feet and then boom, they present you with easy enough tasks to handle. I believe in I want to say Mega Man X. I think Mega Man X for the SNES, the SNES. I believe the first screen is you're there, you walk. I believe there's like a pit or like a fallen, collapsed bridge or whatever. And so you jump over that. And then I believe you're presented with your first enemy. And then boom, you shoot them, and then you pretty much know how the game's going to progress. And so with games today, it's like, like I said, easy, medium, hard. You select your difficulty, and then, there'll be some screen or something pops up and it tells you, hey, this is how to do this is how you do that, bada bing, bada boom. That's how you do it. And which is not a bad thing, but it's just kind of like, it's kind of babying the player a little bit, which I understand for these new generation of kids and gamers and stuff who need this, because unfortunately they didn't grow up in a time where you figured out on your own how to do this. Another thing that makes old school games better than new games is the simple plot. You are either a hero trying to save a princess or some random chick who's not even going to give you a peck on the cheek and just gives you a cake, or you're a hero trying to defeat some evil guy who wants to take over the world. That's it. That was the most complicated of plots that you had back then. Not this whole, this guy wants to take over the country, and then somebody on your team betrays you and some bullshit. Or, I go into a cave, I discover something, and some other people were looking for that something, and now they're after me, and all this convoluted. You know, it's not convoluted. Old school games are not convoluted. You had a simple plot. You knew what you had to do. You took care of business. And, you know, that's great. Another thing is the simple gameplay. The simple gameplay, yet difficult gameplay. If you were to give, let's say you're a parent. Your son or daughter is 12 years old. If you were to give them Mega Man X, how long do you think it would take them to beat that game? And like I said, all you do is you have like basically two buttons. You jump and you shoot. Not like today where it's like, oh, you got two analog sticks, you got 4 different 5, 6, 7, 8 different buttons, and you're having to press all these buttons at the same time. No. Basically 2 buttons pretty much, for the most part. You jump and you shoot. Simple as that. How long do you think it would take them to beat that game? Forever. You know why? Because it introduced not only a simple gameplay mechanic, but it was simple task but done in a very intricate way. You know, you get new weapons all the time, so you're faced with that thought like, oh, I just got a new power-up. And again, I'm talking about Mega Man, because I'm looking at Mega Man right now on my monitor, and so that's the game that's most present in my mind. So, you know, you get a new power in Mega Man, and you're like, should I use it? Should I save it? Or whatever. And so, you know, you're thinking like, oh, okay, cool, I got a new power, big whoop, bada bada bing, bada boom, and I'm gonna use it. You know, everything's gonna be fine and dandy. Then it comes to the end of the game, and a lot of times you've already used up a lot of these power-ups, and you're screwed. You don't know what to do. And so, you know, these games give you an easy enough task, but done in a different way. It's not like today's games where, oh, I run and I shoot, the enemies get a little bit more difficult, or they add more enemies, and that's about it. Back then it was like about creating new worlds and new platforms and introducing different ideas, from jumping from wall to wall, or jumping on something like this in a pit and you have to bounce off that, jump on something else. You know, it introduced so many simple little things that made a big impact to the game. That's why Mega Man is in my top 10 for one of my favorite games of all time, because of that reason. Another thing about old school games is that, and this is probably going to be the last thing to talk about because I don't want to make this video too long. I want to try to make these videos convenient for you guys to watch. And so I might be coming up on like 10 minutes here, so I'm not sure. But lastly, what I want to talk about is old school games set the bar for what games should do and improve on for the future. And that's what makes old school games great. Because you have games like Earthbound, and more specifically the Earthbound Halloween Hack, that introduced a great mechanic about choice in video games. Yes, if you watched my very first video, I ranted about choice in video games and how you really truly have no choice. But with Earthbound, the Halloween Hack, and some of you can correct me because I'm not sure how Earthbound originally ended. I'm actually trying to beat Earthbound right now. But with Earthbound, the Halloween Hack, you're faced with choices. Toby Fox, creator of Earthbound, the Halloween Hack, and creator of Undertale, gave you a choice. He said, hey, you can kill this guy, or you don't. You turn off the game. Because he gives you these two choices, but really one of them you can never make in the actual game itself. And so you start thinking to yourself, Well, then how do I spare this guy? Well, Toby Fox back then was teaching you, hey, sometimes in these games, these old school games, you are the quote-unquote hero, and you have to kill in order to save the day. But he introduced that new mechanic about giving you an option and a choice. So, and he was probably only one of many others. I'm not sure how other old school games ended, and if you truly had other choices in other games. But from as far as I know, he's one of the original people who gave that certain idea of choice in video games. And now here we are, 2016, and you get game after game with so many choices. You have this choice: you can kill this guy, you can be this woman, you can take this woman, you can not be with this woman, you can kill this guy, you can spare this guy, you cannot do anything. The choice is always in your hands. And a lot of times it's choices that you may not certainly want to make, but at least you have choices. And old school games introduced that one mechanic, and there's a hell of a lot more mechanics that old school games introduced early on that a lot of these newer games are picking up. So that's what makes old school games better than the new. That's what I wanted to get down this video. Now guys, if you did enjoy, be sure to comment below your thoughts and feelings about these games. These games specifically being old school games. Are you an old school gamer? Are you all about the new? If so, why? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, stay beautiful, have an awesome day, and take it easy.